universe of Alien, Earth in 2120 is a masterpiece of world building, a dystopian future that feels frighteningly plausible. Noah Hawley doesn't paint a picture of flying cities and utopia, but rather a future of concrete, neon, and an abysmal social disparity, where humanity has reached the stars, but lost its soul in the process. Power no longer resides in elected governments, but in corporate boards. Earth is a global chessboard contested by 5 titans. The infamous Weyland-Yutani, with its legacy of destructive ambition. The Prodigy Corporation, a daring newcomer in the field of biotechnology and synthetic consciousness. And the mysterious Lynch, Dynamic, and Threshold, whose agendas still remain in the shadows. Prodigy City, the epicenter of the plot, is the perfect example of this new world order. Skyscrapers that pierce the clouds house the elite, immortalized by technology, while at their feet, an underclass fights for scraps, living in the shadow of a progress they will never enjoy. The atmosphere is one of a constant corporate Cold War, where industrial espionage and hostile takeovers are the weapons of the day. It is into this powder keg that the Weyland-Yutani ship, USS Maginot, a relic from an older era of exploration, plummets from the skies. The crash isn't just an accident. It's an unintentional declaration of war. The ship's mission was Weyland-Yutani's holy grail, to collect and contain the ultimate life form, the xenomorph, for its bioweapons division. Its failure to return silently, and its spectacular crash into the heart of rival territory, unleashes chaos. The Prodigy Corporation, led by the visionary and dangerous Boy Cavalier, sees not a tragedy, but a unique opportunity to usurp decades of research from its biggest competitor. The Maginot's cargo, eggs, spores, perhaps even mature specimens, represents the pinnacle of biological engineering, a perfect weapon that could ensure total supremacy. The central plot, therefore, is not simply about surviving an alien monster. It's about a desperate and violent race for control of the monster, where each corporation is willing to sacrifice entire cities to gain the upper hand, proving that the greatest danger to humanity was never the alien, but humanity itself. The episodes Neverland and Mr. October introduce us to a complex cast of characters whose motivations are as dangerous as the creatures on the loose. Wendy, played with a fierce vulnerability by Sydney Chandler, is our entry point. She is a technological anomaly, the fusion of a child's lost innocence with the lethality of a synthetic body designed for war. Her perception of the world is fragmented. She has the strength to rip off a metal door, but the emotional maturity of a preteen dealing with profound trauma. This duality is her greatest strength and her greatest weakness. Her only genuine purpose, the only thing that connects her to her forgotten humanity, is the search for her brother, Joe Hermit. Joe, in turn, is an ordinary man trapped in extraordinary circumstances. He is an idealistic doctor who became a corporate soldier out of necessity, haunted by the memory of a sister he believes is dead. His ignorance of Marcy Wendy's true fate places him on a tragic and inevitable collision course with the truth. On the other side of the moral spectrum is Prodigy's leadership. Kirsch, the synthetic played by Timothy Olyphant, is an enigmatic figure. He displays a paternal affection for Wendy, but his eyes hide the cold calculations of a program. He trained her, molded her, but for what? To be a daughter or a weapon? This ambiguity makes him one of the most unpredictable characters. Above him, Boy Cavalier is the personification of corporate arrogance. He is a genius who sees himself as a god, playing with consciousness and life as if they were mere lines of code. He is unscrupulous and views the Maginot catastrophe as an exciting game. In direct opposition to them is Morrow, the cyborg survivor from Weyland-Yutani. He is corporate loyalty incarnate, a soldier programmed to protect his company's assets at all costs. He is a harbinger of the horror to come, a man who has seen the xenomorph firsthand and understands what is truly at stake. The initial episodes use the disaster zone as a stage to introduce these conflicts. where Wendy's team encounters the first grotesque results of the cargo, not the adult alien, but horrific parasitic forms that turn survivors into incubators. The tension comes not from what we see, but from the terrifying promise of what is yet to come, hidden in the shadows of the wreckage. What elevates Alien, Earth from a simple addition to the franchise to a television event is Noah Hawley's unmistakable signature. He deconstructs the horror and sci-fi genre to focus on what's truly scary, human failure. The true theme of the series is not the fight against a monster, but a scathing critique of class struggle in late-stage capitalism taken to its extreme. The xenomorph functions here as the ultimate equalizer for the prodigy elite who live in ivory towers and seek immortality through technology. The alien is a containment problem, an asset to be acquired. For the working class living below, it is the apocalypse, a predator that hunts in the sewers and dark alleys of their forgotten communities. The series visually and narratively explores this chasm, showing how horror has a disproportionately greater impact on those society had already discarded. The monster is just another crisis the rich can watch from their screens, while the poor face it with their own hands. Beyond social critique, Hawley delves into deep philosophical questions about identity, using Wendy as his primary vehicle. What defines us as human? Our bodies, our memories, our emotions. Wendy is a living paradox, a young soul trapped in an adult machine, raising debates that echo classics like Blade Runner and Ghost in the Shell. Is she more or less human because of her condition? Her journey to reconnect with her brother and her own history is the emotional thread that anchors the entire sci-fi and horror spectacle. Stylistically, the series abandons easy jump scares in favor of a suffocating psychological tension. Hawley uses silence, oppressive sound design, and precise, cold cinematography to create an atmosphere of constant dread. He is in no hurry to reveal the creature in all its glory, preferring to focus on the terrified faces of the people who encounter it. In doing so, he honors the spirit of Ridley Scott's original 1979 film, which was, at its core, a haunted house movie in space. Hawley understands that the true terror lies not in the monster we see, but in our own powerlessness before it, and more importantly, in the monstrosity we reveal in ourselves when confronted with annihilation. Episode 3, Containment Breach, opens with the direct consequence of the first contact, the quarantine. Prodigy City is on lockdown, but it is a sham quarantine, selective and brutal. The wealthy and corporate zones are sealed off by energy walls and elite security teams, transforming them into impenetrable fortresses. Meanwhile, the poorer districts, where the Maginot ship actually crashed, are abandoned to their fate, surrounded by a military barrier that serves not to protect those inside, but to ensure that nothing and no one gets out. It is here that Hawley's social commentary becomes even sharper. We see the narrative split. At the top, Boy Cavalier and his team analyze data from the crash zone in sterile labs, treating the catastrophe like a simulation, a problem to be solved with algorithms and firepower. They celebrate the capture of the first parasitic specimens, unconcerned with the human cost. Meanwhile, at street level, the series transforms into pure survival horror. Joe Hermit, separated from his medical unit, must navigate a decaying urban labyrinth where fear and misinformation spread faster than any virus. It is in this episode that we get our first terrifying glimpse of the Neomorph, a variation of the creature seen in Alien Covenant, born from local life forms contaminated by the ship's spores. They are pale, incredibly fast, and savage, a biological plague that devastates pockets of survivors. The failure of containment isn't just about the monster escaping. It's about the moral failure of a system that decides who is worth saving and who is considered an acceptable loss. The storyline of Morrow, the Weyland-Yutani officer, also intensifies. He manages to activate a distress signal to his corporation, transforming the containment crisis into an imminent corporate war on terrestrial soil. Prodigy is no longer just cleaning up its backyard. It's in a race against time before Weyland Yutani arrives to claim what is theirs with full force. The Bottom Feeders, the fourth episode, is an emotional gut punch and a turning point for our protagonists. The title refers both to the creatures hunting in the shadows and to the people forgotten by society. Kirsch, feeling pressure from Cavalier to get results, sends Wendy and her team of hybrids back into the quarantine zone. The official mission is to rescue a trapped Prodigy scientist, but Kirsch's true reason, and Wendy's, is to find Joe. The episode is a masterclass in tension, contrasting Wendy's superhuman combat skills with her childlike anxiety. She cuts through hordes of neomorphs with lethal efficiency, but every step toward the field hospital where Joe was last seen is fraught with a palpable hesitation. She is not prepared for what she will find, nor for the truth she will have to reveal. The episode's climax is the reunion. Wendy finds Joe cornered, protecting a group of civilians from an attack. She saves him in a spectacular fashion, revealing her strength and synthetic nature. Joe's reaction is not one of relief, but of shock and horror. To him, this is not his sister Marcy. It's a machine, a thing wearing a familiar face. The scene is devastating. Wendy's attempt to connect, to say, "It's me, Joe," is met with fear and rejection. "My sister is dead," he says, and in that moment, Wendy's artificial heart seems to break. This emotional fracture is the series' deepest wound so far, more terrible than any injury inflicted by the aliens. To make matters worse, Morrow, tracking Prodigy's tech, observes the encounter from a distance. He doesn't see a tragic family reunion. He sees the competition's most advanced weapon and the man who could be the key to controlling or destroying it. The episode ends with Joe fleeing, not just from the monsters, but from the impossible truth he has just encountered, while Wendy is left alone, questioning her own existence. The hunt for control of the xenomorph now becomes secondary to Wendy's deeply personal hunt for her identity and acceptance. The big question is whether Wendy's humanity will be her greatest strength or her greatest weakness in the face of what's to come. So, did you enjoy getting the inside scoop on Alien Earth? If you don't want to miss a second of the war that's about to explode, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. This was Minute Recaps.